was at the meeting, I tried to attend all the committee meetings, I was at the meeting, Councilmember Harlan, Councilmember Gray, Wilson, Council Wilson Hoskin.
Yes, sir.
And, it does make a lot of sense. If you really read what it's saying, it's affecting the mineral state.
Oh, I did. I didn't mind because I didn't mind.
Refer back to our own Supreme Court, if any disputes or any conflicts arise.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
My vote would be
Yes, sir. I will wait second chair to get here. Here we are. Like that. I just called us back in order.
Oh, sorry.
Got it. We do have a motion on the floor. Finish up our discussion.
Yeah. Discussion.
Okay, council. Thank you. Second.
So this has been reviewed by our lawyer, Mr. Potsdam,
It has.
and this is what, okay. That is my main, there's a lot of legalese here that, and lines stricken out, and there's two options, is that correct?
That is correct.
A or B?
A or B on the, first two paragraphs, and then the third paragraph, you can see the strike through and the words that are added, like for instance, that term is the legislature of the Osage Nation. We don't refer to it as legislature, it's called the Osage Congress.
That's correct.
So you'll see that's the change, and it's just making it more clear.
Clarification reason.
Yes.
Should we maybe read this into the minutes or have it so that the radio audience can hear what we're voting on? Right. Radio land.
Motion.
I'm sure we can do that. I think we answered the question first.
Yes, sir. Council.
Thank you, Chair. This is going on the same vein as we're going straight to the top Supreme Court, what our counsel said, to expedite any and all lease situations. The other thing I have is, and you're nodding, meaning I'm assuming you're agreeing, Ms. Harlan, you're the attorney.
Yeah, this is the work product. What you have in your hand is the work product of our council, and it is everything I agreed to as well.
Oh,
As requested by this council.
Yes.
The only other question I have is the Supreme Court shall promulgate rules and procedures. Is that a doable thing? Y'all have to educate me on that. I thought they can do that ability.
Can you tell me where you're reading at, please?
Section 2, about fourth paragraph, sentence down.
Mid paragraph.
Yes, that's the original wording of the Constitution.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Anything in black is in.
Yes, that's what's already
Thank
there.
And we are
Council.
We
Second.
are speaking of the Osage Supreme Court, not the.
Yes, Osage Supreme Court.
And your annuitants for change group is agreement to this? as
Yes.
well? Okay. Thank you, Chair.
As Councilman Reading discussed also. Any other discussion?
Would you like me to read into the record?
I would like you to take care of that, please.
So what we have is two paragraphs under Article 15. The current verbiage is the Osage Mineral Council shall have the power to consider and approve leases and to propose other forms of development of the Osage mineral estate. Mineral leases approved and executed by the council shall be deemed approved by the Osage Nation unless within 5 working days written objection is received from the office of the principal chief that the executed lease or other development activity violates Osage law or regulation. We are putting forth that we would strike that entire sentence.
Thank you.
And then would instead read, the Supreme Court of the Osage Nation shall have original jurisdiction over any dispute that arises between the Osage Minerals Council and any other branch or agency of the Osage Nation.
Option 1.
That's option 1. Option 2 is that everything in section 2 would stay the same, appellate jurisdiction. Actually, this is this whole second paragraph.
Okay.
This is the appellate part. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
so this is not option A or B,
Yeah,
it's just
I
one.
misstated.
Continue, I see that now
Okay.
too.
So everything in section 2 reads now, appellate jurisdiction, the appellate jurisdiction of the Supreme Court may extend to all cases of law and equity. The Supreme Court, by appropriate order, may hear appeals, compel inferior courts or their officials to act in accordance with the law and exercise such other jurisdiction as may be conferred by statute. The Supreme Court shall promulgate rules and procedures relating to original and appellate jurisdiction. Decisions of the Supreme Court shall be published and indexed and shall be final. We are also asking to include a sentence that, at the end of that would say, the Supreme Court shall have original jurisdiction over any dispute that arises between the Osage Minerals Council and any other branch or agency of the Osage Nation. The third proposed change is under natural resources and minerals management, that under general authority, it currently reads, the legislature of the Osage Nation shall provide for the utilization, development, and conservation of all natural resources within the territory of the nation for the maximum benefit of the Osage people. What we'd like to change that to is to say, the Osage Nation Congress shall enact laws related to the utilization, development, and conservation of natural resources within the territory of the Osage Nation for the maximum benefit of the Osage people, except that this authority shall not extend to the Osage Mineral Estate. And that's the many discussions, many committee meetings, helped them clean up the legalese of what they wanted to do. The committee felt like this was a good change for them to run with. We had a meeting with the Annuitants for Change. They wanted to do this, and we're asking today, and my motion is that the council will support will issue a resolution in support of Annuitants for Change in this verbiage. Second. I think it's already been said.
I believe Councilman already seconded.
I think it was you who seconded it. Chairman.
I did, yes. And that is correct. Councilman.
This is really interesting sentences all the way down to the bottom. Except this authority shall not extend to the Osage Mineral Estate. That's a big wow in my belief system here. So we're saying that the Osage Mineral Estate will be solely implemented by the Mineral Council.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Hearing no other discussion, call for the question. Excuse me.
This is just simply a resolution to support Annuitants for Change. This is what they're going to be putting forth through to Congress and get a bill to put on for a constitutional change. We're just simply supporting their effort.
Just a comment, I feel, if I may, I feel that sentence is a very complicated sentence because that's a big asset for Osage people not to benefit as a nation as a whole. I mean, I understand that we have laws in place that they are to talk to us before they develop. But I think we should be able to develop as a nation if they so choose, which I think there's a lot of opportunity there. And I'm concerned if this last sentence would keep them from that ability to do so and regulate and compact and terror or anything their ability to carry out that mission. So anyway, I'm a little concerned here on that last sentence. Thank you, Chair.
Call for the question.
Councilman Red Eagle,
Yes.
Councilman Rebar,
Abstain.
Chairman Waller,
Yes.
Second Chair Yates,
Abstain?
Councilwoman Gray. Yes. Councilwoman Harlan,
Yes.
Councilman Redcorn.
No.
What was it about? 4, 1, 2?
It passes due to the
Passes.
It passes.
council. Do you have anything?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Something just came to my attention while we were on break, and I'd like to make sure that the council is aware. For years now, our administrative staff, particularly Ms. Reynolds, has helped with trust, developing trust for shareholders, and there seems to be an issue on one trust, not on our part, not on Ms. Reynolds' part, but something with the family and something about how they carried out something. It's a legal matter, but because Ms. Reynolds is doing this as an employee of the Minerals Council, and because it is I mean, I've helped her sign the confidentiality papers and various things. It's legal quagmire sometimes. I'm asking for the council to authorize Mr. Pipestem to assist Ms. Reynolds. I believe she's going to be answering some questions to an investigator, and I think it'd be prudent for a lawyer to be with her.
So moved. I'll second it. Is there any other discussion? Council.
Call for question.
Thank you, sir.
Councilman Rebar.
Yes.
Chairman Waller.
Yes.
Second Chair Yates.
Yes.
Councilwoman Gray.
Yes.
Councilwoman Harlan.
Yes.
Councilman Redcorn.
Yes.
Councilman Red Eagle.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. And it's just like we talked about. Thank you. We were preparing for that, but I think this is even better. And this is to assist our staff in the many efforts they do for our head right owners. And thank you, council. With that, I'd like to take the last item, minute meetings.
Are we not gonna do that?
You actually wanted to, I thought we took care of that under budget committee.
No, we didn't.
Would you like to put it, you
Yes.
had talked about where you wanted to get that travel. Your resolution's already in place.
I don't believe so.
Oh, that's right, I asked you to get the registration and everything in.
Yes,
Yes.
so I just would like to make a motion that for upcoming travel in 2020 for your travel,
Mine's already covered.
okay, and then so it'd be for NCI.
For anyone of the council wants to prepare to
Yes.
go with, yes.
Right, for anyone on the council who wants to attend NCI winter session up in Washington DC.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor by Councilman Gray, second by Councilman Harley. Councilman Redcorn.
Call for the question.
Thank you, sir.
Chairman Waller.
Yes.
Second Chair Yates.
Yes.
Councilwoman Gray.
Yes,
Councilwoman Harlan.
Yes.
Councilman Redcorn.
Thank you,
Yes.
ma'am.
Councilman Red Eagle.
Yes.
Councilman Rebar.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much, council. I'd like to entertain the motion to accept the minute meetings as amended. Council, in a second?
Yes.
I have a motion on the floor by Councilman Red Eagle, second by Councilman Gray. I'd like to call for the question, please.
Second Chair Yates.
Yes.
Councilwoman Gray.
yes,
Councilwoman Harlan.
Yes.
Councilman Redcorn.
Yes.
Councilman Red Eagle.
Yes.
Councilman Rebar.
Yes.
Chairman Waller.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Before we ask for adjournment, I would like to say in some of the clarity that we handled today, that the United States Department of Interior will roll out inherent federal functions on the 18th. That'll be our top discussion of the next meeting, because we had asked for anything that's given to other tribes, as I'm reiterating again. It's a little redundant, but I want our head right owners to know. We are looking at what is going to be given in the CFR for our head right owner under Title 25. As I said, I asked Secretary of Interior that we are allowed that relief also in full complements, as they're going to give any other tribe inherent federal function. With that being said, we might have a different world we live in by the first of the year. So that, I'd like to go ahead and ask for a motion to adjourn.
Hold on. Please.
Yeah.
Is this confidential, the letter from the chief, or is this public? It's not marked confidential? And I believe the email that came through was not marked confidential.
All of theirs are, but this one did not.
And the only thing that's on the handout is his, it's not anything else.
Okay, what would you like, Councilman?
I'd like for it not to be confidential. It's not marked confidential.
It has the same signature as everything else that comes through. through ours that says that this email may contain confidential or legally privileged information that is intended only for the use of any unauthorized disclosure, discrimination, distribution, copying, or taking of any action relying on the information herein is prohibited. Emails are not secure and cannot be guaranteed to be error-free. They can be intercepted, amended, or contain viruses. Anyone who communicates with us by email is deemed to have accepted these risks. Osage Nation is not responsible for errors or omissions of the message and denies any responsibility for any damages arising from the incident.
Very well.
Thank you.
Motion adjourned.
Motion to adjourn? Second. Motion on the floor by Councilman Harlan, second by Councilman Reedy. Call for the question.
Councilwoman Gray?
Yes. Yeah.
Councilwoman Harlan?
Yes.
Councilman Redcorn? Councilman Redcorn?
You want to adjourn? Yes.
Councilman Red Eagle?
Yes.
Councilman Rebar?
Yes.
Chairman Waller?
Yes.
Secretary Gates?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you all very much.